How's it going, guys? Eric here. I am on a Foes Mixer, which if you're not familiar with what the Mixer is, it's the mullet bike that Foes builds. And it's kind of interesting because they've been building these bikes for about 5 or 6 years now, but only the last year or two they've become a bit of a trend. This is my first time to really give one a chance, but they have intrigued me for a while. Early today I ran down to Foes and Crazy Bear Bikes. Xavier had one of these that he was kind enough to loan to me to check out today and spend a couple days on it, actually, to kind of give it a good shake, because I'm definitely interested in buying one for myself. I've been climbing here for about 40 minutes or so. I actually started climbing with the climb switch on the DP X2 shock in the firm position. It was kind of spinning out a little bit and put it into the trail position, the middle position, and it actually has like a nice traction in the back wheel, to the point where when I climb, it almost kind of feels like I'm being pushed a little bit. You know, almost like an e-bike on a very light setting, like a super eco, if that makes any sense. Like barely, but just enough. It definitely makes sense to stay in the saddle and not be standing up and cranking, because that does make the tire spin out. But sitting down, it's a nice efficient climber. So, I mean, now of course that's coming from a downhiller, where yesterday I had my downhill bike on this very trail and I had no choice but to stand up and mash the entire time. So my knees are thanking me right now. So when we get to the top, I just gotta adjust the bar roll a little bit. It's rolled a little bit far back. I'm gonna bring it up just a hair and then see how this thing feels on the descents. Here's the bike in all its glory. This is a large frame. Now I'm 5'6". On paper I belong on a medium, but I much prefer a large. It's just because I'm a downhiller at heart. My downhill bike is also a large, so I know that's the size that I would want. 27.5 in the back, and a big old wagon wheel in the front. 203 rotor in the front, 180 back, with the XT brakes. XT 12-speed, which is another thing I'm pretty happy about trying out, because I've been very interested in trying out the new Shimano 12-speed, because I've been running XTR 11-speed past couple of years or so. DPX2 shock. I had one of these on a previous bike and I really liked it. This bike has a 36. For my build, I might be thinking about a 38, just for a little extra stiffness in the front. A couple other little bibs and bobs that any rider would do to make a bike his own. All right, suspension fully open. See how this feels here. I haven't really done anything with the suspension other than maybe slow the rebound in the back just a little bit. So I haven't adjusted the air or anything like that yet. Just wanted to get an initial feel for it and then make adjustments as I go. So here we go. I'm not going to go super crazy with the speed today because it's an unfamiliar bike and this is a multi-use trail, so I'm going to kind of take it easy. All right. Front definitely has this monster truck feel to it. Yeah. Oops. Oh, forgot to do. Still in a light gear there. Oh, the belt decided to come on its own. That's all right. All right. So, still got a little bit of ways to go. So the faster section of this trail. A couple of first impressions. I think it rebounds a little fast, so I'm going to slow that just a scooch. I'm going to take 2 clicks. Let's see. Felt like I was getting tossed around just a hair. I'm going to go 1 more click. All right, I'm going to see how that feels. All right, slowing the rebound definitely feels a little more composed in the back end. Back into this climb here. Whew. Funny, just occurred to me, I've been living in Los Angeles now for about 11 years, and I've been riding this trail for pretty much the entire time. I'm thinking, like, how many different bikes have I ridden on this trail in that time? It's got to be M6 or 7, I think, at this point. The Trail 3 I was riding when I first moved out here. Then I had an M6, stump jumper, M16, Rocky Mountain, FXR, Hydro, and now this one. Corner's nice. Except for that corner. Alright, it's a tight corner here. That never... Alright. A little bit of rock garden coming up. I think I definitely would go for some beefier tires on this bike. I know it'll be a little heavier, but I much prefer the confidence going downhill. Do like the way this thing climbs though. Alright, Tarantula Corner. Probably the most techie part of this trail. Around that, okay. Little rock garden coming up here. Jesus. Whew. That section's getting pretty rough. Went through there on my DH bike yesterday, and it was just as rough. Alright, one more little rock garden section over here. Small little 3-foot drop right about here. See how this does. All right guys, good morning. So this is day 2 of the test ride of the Foes mixer here. After yesterday's ride, I kind of got to thinking about a couple of things. The initial ride, I was getting bounced around a little bit, so I slowed down the rebound in the back, and that helped a lot. So another thing I thought of too is I'm looking at how much of the suspension I'm using. So the indicator on the shock is almost all the way down at the Kashima logo, so that is using a good portion of the travel. So I'm actually going to leave this alone, but probably have another 20 millimeters to go on the fork. That's including doing a small drop, just a small drop, about 3 feet. I'm going to take a little bit of air out of the fork and see how that feels. And if I need to, on today's ride, I'll add some compression in to try to compensate and try to meet somewhere in the middle. I'm going to take my shock pump with me today, so on the fly I can stop and make a few tweaks here and there. All right. Go. Big corner's nice, man. Whoa. I'm starting to dig it. It corners great. It really corners nice.
Does it?
Yeah.
Corner like in the berms or in
in the berms. Even like through the tight stuff.
It's got an air shock, so it's a little different than yours.
Yeah, but it feels good. I mean, I don't feel like I'm already beyond the capability of the bike.
You haven't even bounced it.
You know, I mean, I'm getting pretty close in the fork, but I took a little air out. Last night it was a little hard.
Yeah.
So I took 10 pounds out.
Well, you'll find out on jump line too.
Yeah, on jump line. So I might add a little compression to bring it back. But so far, now that I've made some adjustments and, you know, to kind of dial it a little bit, it's coming together pretty quickly. I'm very happy right now. I think this might be the winner.
Go ahead, Pat.
A little more cornering action here. Sleigh ride trail. Great flow trail. Woo. So just gotta be aware of where my weight is in the bike. Whoa, a little wide on that one. Yeah, this thing jumps. Don't need to go super fast on these. Whoa! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Woohoo! Yeah! I am becoming a fan of this bike. Yeah.
Looks good.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, jumps that thing nice. Twisty techie section now. Oh! Oh. All right, so about halfway through day here at Sky Park, I have to say I am really getting comfortable on this bike. This thing is fast. In fact, on the jump line, I had to actually be grabbing a bunch of brake because I overshot some jumps in a big way. So I needed to rein in the speed a little bit. And that wasn't even pedal, I just coasted and the bike just went. I think we have a winner here, folks. I really do. Work my way back to the village and catch up with the guys. I just had my sandwich while taking a break. Oh! Now I get the speed dialed. There we go. Just the right amount of speed.
Oh boy.
That didn't sound good. Whoa! Whew! Yeah! Like butter. Almost clearing that ramp. Yeah. Woo. Holy shit. Okay. I am once again back on my home trail on the Mixer one more time. Wanted to squeeze in one more ride on this bike before I have to return it, because I have to be honest, I'm just having too much damn fun on it. This is such a good bike. You know, I never really spent a ton of time on a bike with a 29er wheel, either as a mullet or a full 29er. I've only just done the cursory little spin around a parking lot or whatever. So this has been great for me to really give this full due diligence, as it were. I am pretty much decided I'm going to buy one of these for myself. I've got a few things that I would do a little bit differently. A little bit heavier tires. These tires are fine, actually. At first they were a little skittish, but I had them aired up a little bit too much. So I aired down a little bit. That basically calmed them down. So it's good to know if I need to make this bike a little bit more sprightly, in terms of like if I'm doing a lot more climbing than anything else, I can just simply swap tires to something a little faster rolling or what have you. But by and large, I'm still a gravity guy at the core, so I'm going to be going with a bigger fork, probably the same travel. This one's 170, so I'll go with the 170 Fox 38. So I like having something a little bit stiffer, though this 36 is no joke. We all know and love the 36, so it would stand to reason the 38 would be a whole lot better. It's two better, to kind of invoke a Spinal Tap quote. It's not just one louder, it's two better. So once again, using the trail setting on the DPX2 shock, and it's nice, I can actually feel the back end sticking to the ground a little bit more. It's not spinning out, and my power is going right to the ground, or mostly going right to the ground, as opposed to either spinning out or being completely buried in the sag of the suspension. So that's nice. It's real nice. So I really enjoyed this thing at Sky Park the other day, which is the kind of park that you have to pedal yourself up. There's no lift up there. It's all pedaling. It jumps real nice. You know, if you find the butter zone of the lander, you almost don't feel the landing. Other things I might think about for my build, the race face, either the next cranks or the 6 cranks. I've got the 6 on my downhill bike and I really, really like them. So that's why I'm thinking about them for this build. Those cranks are 165 mils long. The ones on this bike are 170. They don't feel too long to me. On this particular build, at least anyway, on this size bike, with this height dropper post, they do feel like they fit. I wonder if it would just kind of tighten the bike up a little bit. You know, again, in my case, I do ride a lot of rocky stuff, and sometimes those 5 millimeters can make all the difference in hitting a rock and not. That's why I'm leaning towards the 165s, and then get the right height dropper post to match. I'd also consider carbon bar, and I ran a MV carbon bar on my M16 a couple of years ago that I really liked. And it's not even so much for a weight savings, though that's definitely a benefit. It's more about the carbon layup. The way they're built, they actually had some compliance to kind of soften the vibrations from the trail. And that was actually what I really liked about the MV bar. On my hydro, I've been running an alloy bar, a Renthal alloy. I might go back to a carbon just for that very reason. But one thing's for sure is I definitely like the Shimano 12-speed. That is definitely a step up. And the 11-speed's been great, and that was the standard of the time when I got it. It's all about the progression of the sport, progression of the technology and the engineering. And it's great now that it's been trickled down. You can get the benefits without having to lay out tons and tons of cash. You can get a 12-speed group set, at the very least get the cassette derailleur shifter for, I don't know, $300-400. But right now I'm in my second gear and I'm not feeling like I need a bail. I mean, this isn't a crazy incline. There's a few sections on this uphill where the bailout gear is nice. But one thing I do like about it is the fact that it doesn't have that huge jump like on the 11-speed XTR. It goes from like a 37 to a 46 on the big one, which that 46 is nice, but the jump is huge and it kind of makes you spin out. You know, it's like if you're driving a 5-speed car and you go from third to first, you know, by skipping second. It's kind of a shock to the system, and in some ways that actually would make me more tired because it's that constant recorrection, shifting up and down between those two gears. So the even shift of the 12-speed is really, really nice. Here's a prime example of the needing a bailout gear. A little steeper, you just sit and spin. You might ask if this bike could be a quiver killer. A few years ago you heard phrases like that, and I haven't heard it lately, which is why I want to kind of bring it up a little bit today. I don't know if this would be a quiver killer. For me, it definitely can cover a very wide range of riding types. You know, it can be kind of an XC bike. Again, if you build it light, put fast rolling tires on it and so on. Or it could be more on the enduro side, like I plan to do, where you can build it a little heavier, bigger tires, heavier fork, that sort of thing. So you could kind of dial it in to a certain part of a pretty wide spectrum. Now again, I'm a downhiller at heart, so to really do full-on downhilling, I still prefer my downhill bike, which obviously is a specific tool for a specific job. Even though a couple of years ago I used to have a downhill bike with a dropper on it, and I put a wide range cassette, and then I rocked that bike for about 1.5 years, 2 years before I actually got a proper trail bike. So that is an option. Whenever you build a bike, you have to just be aware, if whatever you gain on one end, you're probably going to lose a little something on the other. If you want to race XC, get an XC bike. If you want to race downhill, get a downhill bike. But if you're going to do a bunch of different trails, varying levels of difficulty, a little more than straight up fire roads or cross-country trails, but not quite full-on World Cup downhill with huge rocks. And a bike like this would definitely fill the bill. And that's kind of what I look for, because I already have the bike that can handle the gnarly stuff. I do like the fitness aspect of the enduro mindset. You know, I am a personal trainer after all, so the fitness end of it is really important to me. So I do want a bike I can pedal. All the usual hallmarks of an enduro bike. Winch myself to the top so I can bomb down. Save the downhill bike for the bike park days where I have the chairlift, or if I'm shuttling. And there's a little bit of crossover, because I can muscle my downhill bike up and down Sky Park, for example, or I can muscle it up the hill here. It's not easy, but it's definitely possible. And then I could use this bike to do some techie, gnarly downhill stuff. Just go around the huge things. So it's really good, because if one bike is laid up, I still have something to ride. I was watching a YouTube video a couple days ago. I won't tell the name of the brand, but it was for a mid-travel 160 millimeter trail bike. It was a trail / all mountain is how it was labeled. You gotta love these terms that kind of come out, and they all the lines kind of blur in between. This bike, fully specced out, carbon frame, carbon wheels, carbon everything, and the SRAM axis wireless shifting. And I think it even had the swankiest Fox Live stuff on it. And I mean, an absolutely beautiful machine. But it costs over $12,000. Now, anybody watching this video will understand that, you know, how a bicycle can cost that much. You know, we know the technology that goes into it, we know the engineering, and we know the environment that these bikes are going to be used in. So that's why you could have a $12,000 bike. It's one of the reasons I really like bikes from Foes, because they come in a lot cheaper. And the reason being, quite simply, alloy is cheaper. And a lot of carbon bikes have to be built up so heavily that they really don't weigh any less than an alloy bike. So if I go to a place like Foes, that's a handmade bike in America, small shop, extreme quality, and they come in on average $1,000 or more or less. Some frames I would compare to this one that are $1,500 more. You know, mass produced, made overseas, and from a huge company, which is great, you know, because they have budget to come up with technology and so on, blah, blah, blah. But it's kind of impersonal, and you're paying a lot more money. I'm proud of my relationship with Foes, and anybody that deals with Foes or deals with a similar shop should also be proud of their relationship. You can then get into the trickle-down technology. You don't have to go with SRAM axis. Personally, I really like the idea of wireless shifting. I really, really do. But I don't want to pay $700 for a derailleur. I'd rather pay $150 for a derailleur. And then after a year and a half of using it, and it gets whacked in a rock and broken, it doesn't hurt me all that much. I'll spend another $150 on a derailleur. And then maybe in that time, the wireless stuff will come down in price. So, to make this long, rambling diatribe make a point, rather than have one bike that is, you know, quote unquote, the quiver killer, I can have two bikes that would cover a much wider spectrum of riding that I would like to do, and I would actually be spending less money. Anyway, that's my rant on Buy American. And besides, as the title of my channel should denote, I am pretty metal. So I might as well ride a bike that's made out of metal. What kind of paint job do I want? I remember a few years ago, it was really in vogue to have white rims, or the bright yellow Mavic rims, which I really do think look cool. I think the white rims look pretty slick. And then it was like everything had to be lime green. I'm more on the OD green as opposed to lime green. That's why my hydro kind of has that army tank kind of look to it. I like the black camo, all mountain style frame protection I put on it. I like the OD green. I get compliments on it all the time, and I'm happy to hear that, because I'm very proud of that bike. So I've got some ideas for this one, but I think I'll keep them to myself until I get it built up, and then I can do a reveal. But I will drop a hint of what I'm thinking. This could change in the next few weeks, but what I'm thinking is something similar. Something that has that utilitarian, austere kind of look, but still would make people go, hey, that's pretty cool. At least I'll look at it and say it's pretty cool. All right, top of the world. Whew. I have to say, this is always a great view, even though I see it 5 times a week. It's still a great view, especially in the morning when it's nice and clear. A little hazy right now. Whew. One more downhill here. I'm gonna run the bell, so please forgive the rattling bell noise. This is a multi-use trail, so you gotta play by the rules. Finished up the last run on this Foes mixer, and kind of bummed that I have to bring it back. I really am, because just having too much fun on it. But that's a testament to the bike itself. So, who's this bike for? It's definitely I would classify it as an aggressive trail enduro bike for sure. Solidly built, especially being alloy frame that's hand welded. You'd have to really try to hurt this bike. So you really could send it into some pretty aggressive situations, as an enduro bike, or even if you're just doing like all mountain riding, where you're going to be doing like a shuttle ride to come down a long trail that's got some aggressive stuff on it, and you want to make sure you have a bike that's reliable. On the flip side, you could also build it a little bit lighter and have it be a nice, spry, quick trail bike. Not a full-on cross-country race machine. If you wanted it to be a lightweight trail bike that you could pedal all day, you could definitely build it that way as well. Depends on how you build it up. Also, I like the idea that it's something slightly unique, as opposed to like being like a cookie cutter machine. I know the mullet thing is kind of in vogue at the moment, but after spending a few days on it, I definitely see the logic behind it, that can have staying power. It's not just like the flavor of the week, if you will. In fact, it's even got me thinking about maybe purchasing a bigger fork for my hydro and trying to mullet that bike. I actually ran into a guy at Snow Summit with a older hydro that is exactly what he did. He bought a Fox 49. He absolutely loves it. So in the meantime, I'm gonna get this bike home, give it a good wash, then I have to go and return it to Foes, to Crazy Bear, and start planning my own build. I definitely am ready for a new trail enduro bike. All right, so that'll about button it up for the test ride and review of the Foes mixer. I want to thank Foes Racing and Crazy Bear Bikes for giving me the opportunity to check this bike out. I definitely recommend that you guys check it out for yourself. All right, check out a Foes, or if you're in the Los Angeles area and you want to do a demo, contact Crazy Bear Bikes and talk to Xavier. He'll set you up. So you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one.